Coming up quick, the Dating from Within workshop happening June 11th through 13th, and I want you there. And before some of you immediately think, absolutely freaking not, I am not ready to date, Amy, just stay with me for a minute because this workshop is probably not what you think it is. Experiencing betrayal, experiencing abuse that goes along with it, emotional manipulation, chronic lying, abandonment, rejection, having that life-saving divorce, and even hearing the word dating will absolutely, for most of you, feel activating. Makes sense. And then fear comes in, or disgust, exhaustion, grief. And for some of you, it creates that immediate protective response of all men are unsafe. And I never want to do that again. I cannot survive being hurt like that again. And honestly, totally understand that. You've heard me say this before. You've heard me talk about how I was totally there. Your nervous system adapted to survive experiences that feel deeply unsafe emotionally, mentally, physically, relationally, and for so many of you, spiritually as well. Putting on the brakes and not jumping into another relationship is actually what I would recommend. So, this workshop isn't about getting you to start dating right now. In fact, whether you are dating or not, the focus is learning how to date yourself, learning how to come back to you, learning how to recognize the patterns, learning how to look at your patterns, learning how to be alone, learning what healthy actually looks like, what emotional maturity looks like, how to navigate rejection, cultivating courage and confidence in yourself, in your body, in your decisions, in trusting again, and how to even do that. Because what I see so often after betrayal and divorce is women becoming incredibly externally focused, hypervigilant, which again makes sense. But we become so hyper focused on looking for those red flags. And okay, look, we're going to go over what those red flags are eventually, but we can get so hyper focused on learning what every single red flag is. And look, a lot of times when we talk about red flags, what might be one red flag for someone might not be a red flag for another. You get all of these social media posts on this is a red flag, this is a red flag, this is a red flag. And then we become super hyper vigilant about reading all of the behaviors and analyzing all the attachment styles and trying to figure out who's safe and who's not, right? All in the name of not wanting to be deceived again, which is understandable. You want to gather information and try and gather enough information so that we aren't missing something. But when we become so hyper focused on that, we actually lose our ability to discern because the attention and the focus is outside. We're watching so carefully and closely what's going on externally. Discernment, real discernment, happens internally. So awareness matters. Understanding unhealthy dynamics matters. But what gets missed is learning how to read yourself. We're hyper focused on trying to read the person and the people outside of us, but we're still not connected enough to ourselves and recognizing enough of our own sense of self, how our body responds, trusting our body. We're not reading ourselves. This is where I believe healing and future relationships begin to shift, not from the outside in approach to dating, but from the inside out approach to dating. Healing isn't only becoming better at detecting unhealthy relationships. I think healing is becoming better at staying connected to yourself while in connection with someone else. That right there can change everything because a lot of times I don't necessarily see women missing the red flags. They dismiss them, they rationalize them, they minimize them, they override what they felt. They talk themselves out of their intuition, minimize their discomfort, ignore the exhaustion of maybe repeated conversations that just go in circles and circles and circles. They abandon their needs because they feel too much, too needy. Their needs might be a problem. Their needs might push the person away. They become disconnected from the body, which then disconnects them from truth. So these ways of survival, all of these are learned survival mechanisms. When we don't unlearn them, we don't recognize them and unlearn them, they just repeat in a new relationship. And it's harder to see because oftentimes like a lot of my clients will find someone that they're dating, especially the first couple guys they start to date, they'll be so completely opposite in terms of like personality and dynamics in many ways from their ex that it feels different. So then they tell themselves it's different. And oftentimes they will then dismiss and minimize some of these red flags. But again, it's going to show up different, but the same in the body. But if we're not recognizing and connected to our body, we're going to miss it again. So what I teach in this workshop is how to rebuild that relationship with yourself in a way that becomes the foundation for every future relationship that you have, every dating experience that you have. The ideal way, at least in my mind, of dating again after divorce and a divorce like this is taking all parts of yourself on the dating experience with you. So today I want to give you 3 ways to begin dating yourself well, because these 3 things eventually become the exact same things that you will bring into your future relationship. Number 1 is learn what makes you feel more like yourself, not what makes other people happy, not what might make you more desirable or lovable, not what keeps the peace, what actually makes you feel more connected to you. Because when we come out of betrayal trauma, many of you have spent so much time surviving that you don't even know. You don't remember or know right now what to enjoy and what you enjoy, what joy feels like, or what you prefer, what food you prefer, what type of shows you prefer, what drinks you prefer, what activities you prefer, what's nourishing, what's exciting, what's invigorating, what's calm, what actually feels authentic to you. Dating yourself means getting curious again, not judgmental, just curious. What environments calm your nervous system? What conversations leave you feeling expanded and uplifted, higher energy, so to speak? What drains you? What conversations drain you? What kind of activities drain you? What are some things that you're noticing right now that you have to force yourself through? And what actually energizes you? What actually feels like you when no one else's expectations are in the room? Dating yourself means learning your inner world the way you wished someone else would have learned it. Okay, the second thing is stop overriding your internal signals. And I think this is a huge one for so many of us because, again, we learn to disconnect from our own body, from our body cues in order to maintain that attachment. So, are we ignoring tension in the conversation, tension in the room? Are we ignoring resentment? Are we ignoring anxiety, dread, exhaustion, our intuition? Are we ignoring the ick? Are we ignoring uncomfortable? Are we ignoring rudeness? I had a client who was dating someone and she wanted to process this date that she had with this guy. She said, okay, just so you know, he's really sarcastic and I like sarcasm. And she started to tell me about how he would make these comments about her or about her life or about something that she did. She would like share an activity she did and he would make a sarcastic comment about it. And she started to notice that this was happening like all the time. But because he labeled himself as sarcastic, and every time he would make some of these, again, I'm air quoting, sarcastic comments, he would say, just joking, or just being sarcastic, or just messing with you or I'm just joking, right? He would say the thing. And I said, okay, hold on, let's slow down. Let's slow down. And I wrote down like 5 things that she said he commented about. I said, okay, have you close your eyes and I'm going to read these 5 things that he said. And I want you to tell me immediately what comes into your body after I read these 5 things. And so she closed her eyes and I read these one at a time, 5 different comments that he made. And I said, okay, open your eyes. What did you notice in your body? And she goes, ugh. Like her face scrunched up and she just got like her tongue came out of her mouth and she was just like, it just feels gross. And I said, yeah, it feels gross. Okay. So at what point did you shift to, oh, he's just joking? She goes, well, when he said he's just joking, I said, interesting. Interesting. Is that the moment that you ignored your body and believed what was coming out of his mouth? She's like, yes. I go, okay, so if we believe your body, then what does this behavior feel like and tell you? She goes, I don't like it. She goes, whether he calls it sarcastic or not, whether he is trying to be rude or not, I don't like it. I said, exactly. You don't like it. But most important, you disconnected from your body in that moment. Why? And then we started processing why. It was so beautiful to watch her slow that down and recognize the moment that she disconnected from her body. It happens so freaking fast. We don't even realize it. We rationalize it. They're just joking. He's just stressed. I'm probably overreacting. I'm being too sensitive. Maybe I just need to try harder. All of those are ways that we learn to rationalize. And yeah, I'm going to just go there and genderize today. I think we're taught this as women. I think we're taught to rationalize these things away. Because if we don't, and we say, I have a problem with that, I actually don't think that's sarcasm. I think that's being rude. Then what is the typical response? You're being too sensitive or you're being a bee. Wait, right? Like that is oftentimes what comes back at us. We get darboed, we get gaslit. And eventually our nervous system learns my job is to preserve connection, not preserve myself. Preserve their feelings, not preserve myself. So dating yourself means learning how to notice yourself again. In that example right there, it would be easy to get so externally focused on that person, right? And whether or not they're being rude or not, she didn't see that so much that she was rationalizing the red flag, rationalizing the behavior because she missed the connection to herself. A lot of people would not think that is a red flag because some people are just as sarcastic and rude. She wasn't. She didn't like that. It didn't feel good. She doesn't want to live a lifetime with that kind of rhetoric all of the time. Some of the time, there's a time and a place, she said. She was, but it was all the time. She was, maybe that's for someone else, but it isn't for me. And I was like, oh, that right there, where you get to decide what's for you. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean that he is a walking red flag. He's just not for you. There you go. What a concept, right? I love that. Because one of the greatest green flags of a future relationship is your ability to stay connected to yourself while you're connecting to someone else. If you have to disconnect from you in order to connect to somebody else, that is not going to last long. That is not sustainability right there. Okay, the third thing, practice giving yourself what you keep hoping someone else will give to you. Not because people don't matter, not because we're not supposed to be in a relationship, but because a lot of women are starving for things that they were never consistently given. If you don't have food in your pantry, okay, if you walk over to your pantry and you open the door and there are a few cans of peaches, beans, and soup, and that's it, you're gonna feel pretty hungry. If there's not a can of self-validation on the shelf or self-comfort or reassurance or love, then you better believe that you're going to look for someone to fill that pantry with all of that for you. So you're going into the dating experience starving. When someone shows a little bit of love, you're gonna gobble it up. You're gonna eat it so freaking fast you're not connected to your body. My great aunt, my mother's aunt, was very present in my life growing up. And every time we'd go to her house and eat, I put food in my mouth and she would yell at me every time, Amy, slow down and chew that bite 60 times. Like I had to count to 60 every time I would chew, like, chew one, chew two, chew three. She would try to slow me down and chew my food and drove me crazy. But when I slow down and chew my food, I start to taste it. I start to feel the texture of it. I would be more present. I would be more present to the food, present to my body. Same concept. If we're starving and we eat so fast, we're not going to be present to what is actually happening in our body. Part of healing is learning how to begin filling your own pantry with your own freaking food. How can I comfort myself? How can I validate my reality, my story? How can I protect myself, choose myself, and stay connected to myself? Not perfectly, okay, but intentionally. So that if I know that I'm lovable and I date someone and he says I'm lovable, shows me that I'm lovable, that's a freaking bonus. That's an extra can of peaches on the shelf, right? Extra. Awesome. Love it. Great. Nice to be there. If he takes it away, it's not leaving me starving again. If he takes that can, because he leaves and he's like, give me my peaches back. I'm like, here you go. Have it. Because I already got mine. But when you're approaching dating starving, then they take that away and you're like, what the hell? I'm going to die. I need food in my pantry. And he just walked away with all of it. So we hold on to relationships that aren't healthy. We dismiss the red flags because we don't want to go back to an empty pantry. When we date from this perspective, from this inside out, get to choose how we want to date, who we want to date, what's okay, what's not okay. We're not so afraid if that person doesn't choose us or choose into a relationship that we want to create, because you're more confident with what you are offering, what you're bringing to the table. You know that it's a fully stocked pantry and you're proud of it because you worked hard to build that. You worked hard to build it and you're actually not going to give it away so easily. You're going to make them work for it a little bit harder. That's what learning how to date within and bringing yourself into these experiences will give you. That's what this workshop is about. Join me June 11th through 13th, 3 nights, 2 hours, and then some each night. They are recorded. If you cannot make every night, they will be recorded. You will have access to the recordings for a time. It comes with a workbook that you get forever. When you show up live, you get coaching along the way. The last night we do talk about practical dating tips. And at the end of the workshop, for those that are wanting to stay, my husband, Scott, joins the conversation and we do a live Q&A where you get to ask a guy anything. We have really great conversations. We have fun, over 6 hours with me for less than a price of a single session. You can't pass it up. Register amywoolsey.com or go to the link in the show notes. And maybe for the first time in this journey, it is not about trying to earn love, prove your worth, or make yourself more chosen. Maybe this journey is about becoming the chooser of what feels safe, the chooser of what aligns with you, the chooser of what you allow, the chooser of what honors your nervous system, your values, your healing, your truth. And you get to be the chooser of your dating experience and create the dating experience that you want with you because you can. Take care, everybody.
I was born to fly and spread these wings and find my own. I am coming home. Today will be the day it all will change. Nothing, no one's in my way. Today will be the day. Today will be the day. I was made to dream that anything can be my own. I have found my home. Today will be the day day.